Mass Effect Andromeda finds itself in a very peculiar, jarring, weird, strange, odd situation that I can only describe as being Mass Effect finding itself in a very dark place, and that is definitely more the exception, not the rule. Mass Effect has always prided itself on having good quality control and bringing you an all-in-all good AAA experience in the action RPG genre. Some go as far as to say the original Mass Effect trilogy pushed the genre to its outer limits. No pun intended. With that being said, the original trilogy is known for its great writing, great characters, in-depth gameplay, and the challenge that came along with getting everyone on the Normandy back home safely. Now, by no means does this mean that the original trilogy was perfect or immune to any criticism at all. I mean, hell, we all remember the multiple choice examination that Mass Effect 3 dared to call its ending. And no one likes a multiple choice ending where all the choices all blend together, and the few differences that they do have did not seem to distinguish them or have a monumental effect on the player. However, one thing that we can say about the original trilogy is that the games on release were complete, fleshed out, and built a universe on a sound and solid foundation that built quite the enticing allure that not only brought in new fans, but kept the old players enticed and ready for the sequel. Now, with that pretty impressive resume, BioWare had big shoes to fill when giving the series new life by pushing to the unreachable, the new age of interstellar travel, Andromeda. Alright, that's about as professional as this review is going to get, so if you don't like vulgarity or raw passion, now might be the time for you to step out. Don't worry, I'll give you a little bit of a second, and there goes your second. So, Mass Effect Andromeda, you had about a year and a half's worth of build-up, a year and a half to firmly grasp every Mass Effect superfan's heart. BioWare did everything from vignettes, monologues, and pre-order bonuses to make sure that this game's hype level never diminished from announcement all the way up to release. However, only one question now remains. Was Andromeda really that bad? In short, yeah. In long, oh boy. Look, BioWare, okay. This isn't me speaking to you directly. I mean, I know you guys are the AAA developer and have a huge set of investors, stockholders, and plenty of the big players at EA to impress. You had deadlines, so this isn't an attack on you necessarily. Just think of it as a slight dismantling or an assessment, if you will, of the work in hand. So, as I said before, Mass Effect is known for its in-depth gameplay, its good writing, its level of immersion, and its standard of quality over quantity. And this game has, well, none of those things. I mean, if we're being honest here, BioWare, it seems as though at this point you just threw all the most random, monotonous, zany shit, put it in a box, shipped it up Schitt's Creek with expedited shipping to the excrement compound, who had to make a withdrawal of the International Bank of Diarrhea to make a fecal matter down payment of $400 worth of manure packets and crammed it into a disc. Called it a day and haven't looked back since. The only reason why I bring this up in this manner is because I hypothesize if we were to take all the physical copies of Mass Effect Andromeda and put them on a rocket ship and jettison them out into the final frontier until they eventually reached Andromeda, I'm sure there would be some Krogan species out there that would finally understand true suffering while playing this game. At least at that juncture, I could find some sort of solace that somebody out in Andromeda will finally emote properly and actually care about something. But I digress. Andromeda's different. For reasons I can't really fathom. Not because I can't fathom why it's different, I just can't fathom why those at BioWare took a system that worked and took a nice warm summer's piss all over it. I mean, the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, not, hey, they'll buy it anyway because it's got Mass Effect in the title. Oh. Now we finally get to the specifics, the meat of the episode. Mass Effect Andromeda has made you, the player, your own worst enemy. Outside of doing crazy, irrational things, enemies will never kill you on the normal and hard difficulties, even if you run and gun. I mean, I've streamed myself on my first playthrough being able to sit back with a sniper rifle, assault rifle, and being able to pick off entire waves of enemies without aggroing a single one of them. Not to mention, once you hit level 13, you can do the punch-only run on your very first playthrough. Earlier, if you're just even the slightest bit patient. On New Game Plus, on hard, I've been able to do a punch everything in the face, no bullet run of the game, and we are at our third vault now. Not a single bullet has been fired, and I'm already halfway through the main campaign. And I just hit level 23. On top of that, the strategy elements of Mass Effect have been a little watered down. While they were never overbearing in the original trilogy, such as telling your teammates where to go, what to do when they got there, and the like, in Andromeda, you can only tell them what region to lock down. And let's be honest, that doesn't matter, because 9 times out of 10, they won't even follow that direction, because if they're aggroed in any capacity by any enemy anywhere on the map, they will go run over there and just completely ignore your orders to begin with. Which is funny, because there is a mandatory prompt early in the game that tells you how to do this feature. However, outside of that point in the game, there is no point to using this feature whatsoever on directing your squad mates. Now, for anyone who enjoyed the strategic properties of the Mass Effect gameplay that we've all come to know and love, it's going to fall flat for you here. And it doesn't give you an actual challenge. I mean, I'm not asking for Dark Souls here. I'm not even asking for Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis here. But at least have some sort of resistance to me, the player. As right now, Andromeda just feels like a big, hollow chasm. I mean, sure, there are many worlds, vistas, locations, and side missions to keep you occupied for hours on end, but all of it just seems hollow. It just seems so lifeless. There's nothing really gripping me to keep going for subsequent playthroughs, or hell, even to continue for lore exploration purposes alone. The superior writing on the original trilogy at least had moments where you, the player, felt justified, obligated, and compelled to play through Shepard's story, but for Ryder, everyone just seems either soulless or dumb as fuck. Which brings me to the juncture that everyone has been waiting for this entire time. The wonderful world of top-of-the-line gaming ingenuity and $40 million, culminating in the worst animations you ever did see in a AAA title. Now look, I understand no game is perfect. I'm not going to sit here and go tit for tat for every little minor mouth desynchronization as it comes to the words and the dialogue in the story. Even Horizon Zero Dawn struggled with that, and that turned out to be one hell of a title. However, in this game, the animations completely, unadulteratedly destroy all sense of immersion. Now, I understand some of you are going to say, I'm sure the animation isn't that bad. Well, let me tell you this. I'm sorry, but it is really hard for me to get emotionally invested and immersed into a story or lore when my character is trying to have witty banter with someone who has stroke and power in a community of lowlifes. And then in the middle of that dialogue, they turn into a contortionist who's more concerned with trying to figure out how their own ass tastes than to actually have that dialogue with me about the story that pushes the narrative forward. It's hard for me to care about characters when they glitch out all the time. Imagine this scene in The Matrix, where Morpheus is asking Neo the red pill or the blue pill, but his face is trying to cram into his own posterior. Imagine if in The Dark Knight Rises, Bane is going, yes, I'm trying to sniff my own ass, Mr. Wayne, but don't worry about me, it's Gotham's reckoning. Now, while I'm sure we would all die laughing seeing something so hilarious, it does not invoke the emotion that the story is trying to get from the player, or in this case, the moviegoers. And that right therein lies the problem. It's really hard for me to take things seriously when I'm trying to talk to a character who's going to be recruited in my team and they just strike in the T-pose. It's hard for me to take a character seriously when they hold their gun wrong. It's hard for me to take the game seriously when everyone's hair looks like it's filled with space Ebola. It's hard for me to take characters seriously when their faces look like this. It's hard for me to take the game seriously when the dialogue skips or cuts out and becomes inaudible at times.
Initiative. Stick though. Like losing the old man.
Did her voice clip? It's hard for me to take the game seriously when Krogan twerk because the animation system is completely broken. It's hard for me to take the game seriously when people disappear like Houdini in the middle of cutscenes even if they were the ones who were just talking. It's hard for me to take the characters seriously when they interact incorrectly because I talk to them. It's hard for me to keep this gag going. I am running out of breath. You guys get the point here. And we haven't even talked about the flickering textures or the black screen of death glitches yet. We haven't even talked about the inconsistent load triggers, save data deletion glitches, checkpoint errors, the list goes on. And I don't even know what to call this or what this is, but this happened. I'm gonna run him over. Okay, let's try that again. What? Hold on a minute. Do you not? What the fuck? Hello? Sir? What the fuck? You can fly. Okay. Hello? Bioware? Oh, it's a kid? Oh shit, it's Knuckles! Hey, Knuckles! Hey, yo, I knew you could glide. Use a real one. But you gotta die today, fam. Oh, you gonna dodge? You say that's gonna save you? Fuck out of here, Knuckles. Somehow Knuckles the Echidna is in my game. Honestly, I'd love to sit here and tell you all after all the patches, after facial animations are corrected and cleared up, you would have somewhat of a thrilling experience here. But I can't. And I want to, but I can't. The gameplay turns into a chore at times, and the characters don't ever really give you enough to really care about their motivations. You don't even really care about them on any level. Hell, half of them I have to be reminded of that they were even on my ship to begin with. The only real positive that the game has is that there's a lot. And I do mean a lot to do. I mean, if you play it straight and narrow, doing only the main story, you won't even touch 30% of the playable areas, planets, stations around Andromeda and the Final Frontier as a whole. However, most of them do feel just like busy work. And it doesn't really help that there's only 15 enemy types the campaign has for you. That's right. There's 24 total if you include optional fights with wildlife and sort of mini bosses that appear randomly on the map, but there's more to kill in the original Mass Effect game. Almost a decade ago. There are more enemies in the original Mass Effect than there are in Andromeda. Mass Effect, Andromeda. It's weird, it's vast, but don't get it twisted. This isn't a case of No Man's Sky. This isn't even a case of Mighty Number 9 type of failure. This is a game that struggles to be average in a series that was destined for greatness. I'm Glitchblade, and I'm out.